in my last video, I did promise that if I did a third Dr. Umar video, that I would have my girlfriend Regina along for it. And prior to this one, I did let her hear. She listened to my first video. There's a little bit that she's probably gonna go in on me about.
No, I'm not gonna embarrass you on the video, but let's just say I wasn't happy that my voice was mentioned next to
you mean your name?
Well, my name was mentioned, like in reference to the human walrus, which is Dr. Umar. Talking about his Mandingo stick or Shango stick.
Shango stick, but yeah, I did let her hear the whole comments, and basically what she got a little bit bad. I mean, not like heated bad, but
annoyed mostly.
She got annoyed about was me bitching it about, man, Umar, if you could take Regina, you could have her. But I meant it in a way kind of showing confidence, like, you couldn't take my woman, and even if me and her broke up today, you still couldn't get her.
He said it out of confidence, but I'm gonna be honest. Why in the world would I even be mentioned in?
That's fair.
The fact that this is about the human walrus. Why in the world would I ever want to plow, let alone talk to or nail or even be attracted to somebody that looks like him, even acts like him? And the guy that has that much confidence shows me that he probably doesn't even have a Shandingo stick or whatever he calls it. He probably has less than a cocktail wiener. And why would I even want to touch someone that literally looks like a human black version of a walrus? No, thank you. No, thank you. Yeah, I was more annoyed than pissed off at the fact that my name was mentioned in reference to this guy. So, yeah, I talked to Irvin about it, and I will not embarrass him on here. Because I have enough respect for the man. I do not have any respect for Dr. Umar. So I will embarrass him if I want to.
Yeah, but like I said, just talking as a man, about being all serious, if I take a line from Lance Storm, if I can be serious for a minute, dude, if you really got all that kind, like I said, real players don't talk about their business. Real players don't even act like that. Real players, most of the time, the women they get, you don't even, most of them you're not gonna even know about until way later, if at all. Real players move in silence. And you're supposed to be this honorable doctor and stuff, but you sound like an educated pookie. And I put that educated pookie in quotation marks. You just read just enough to be dangerous and to sound smart to dumb people, basically.
I'm wondering whether or not an educated pookie is an oxymoron or a contradiction. I don't know.
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I wouldn't really consider pookies to be educated, but in this case, let's be honest. Dr. Umar, I gotta give the man his flower, but the fact that he is able to hustle thousands of dollars out of people for many years to create his own income, as shady as it is, this guy is actually clever enough or has enough charisma to fool people to give him money. And even though he showed you his cards, you guys are still paying him. You're still giving him money to say he's going to create a school for black people, even though that's changed multiple times because technically it goes against the Civil Rights Act, trying to create a school for all black people, which is considered prejudice and discriminatory, and that's something he can't do because that's what the people of the Civil Rights Movement fought against. So why are you trying to segregate everybody by creating a school with absolutely no curriculum whatsoever that's not even under a Board of Education approved curriculum? You have no funding when it comes to food as well as shelter for these kids because it sounds like it's going to be a boarding school. He has absolutely no plan at all, and people still give him money, thinking he's gonna change. It's not gonna happen.
And speaking of this non-existent school, and for people that's going to defend, there's probably going to be a few that's going to defend him in the comment section. But for people that's going to defend him, the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy is about as existent as the Ray Boom Boom Room in the film Life. Okay? It is a figment of in his mind. Yes, he has bought 2 abandoned buildings. Let me put it this way. I'm currently looking into restructuring and get my house where right now it's barely above code, but I want to get it back to where it's really up to code. My house will be finished before that school exists. If it ever exists at all. I will have my house finished. He will still be talking about building that school, which, by the way, the name alone should be a bell. Your spider senses should be tingling at the name alone. The Frederick Douglass / Marcus Garvey Academy. The I'm sounding retarded. The FD, this guy's got me so taken off of. The FDMG Academy, that name in itself is contradiction. And I'll tell you how. Look up the name Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was a Jamaican who, granted, he did make some good points, but he was also jailed for mail fraud. Kind of sounds similar to the subject that we're talking about, although he hasn't been to jail yet. Ooh, don't think them FBI and them government agents ain't looking at you, Umar.
We still have any FBI or government agents.
Yeah, that's a whole nother subject. Yeah, because of a certain president, but we're not getting into that. Yeah, but seriously, and Marcus Garvey was considered a bit of a nut, not to mention very extreme racist against mixed relationships, much like Dr. Umar. But here's the contradiction. Frederick Douglass was an abolitionist, and Frederick Douglass was married to a white woman.
Let alone he was taught how to read and write from a white woman.
Yes. So you're going to put the name, you're against interracial. Your favorite slogan is to say, Black Queens Forever, Snow Bunnies Never, which honestly not only is racist, but it's kind of insulting in itself. I'm sorry, and I'm gonna probably tick off a lot of black women, well, except for the one sitting beside me, when I say this. Queen is not exclusive to black. I'm sorry, it's not. Just like king is not exclusive to black men. I'm sorry, it's not.
And I think I've told him this years ago, and this was when I wasn't even living in West Virginia. This was when I was in Georgia, and I mentioned this on the phone when I talked to him, that when it comes to Queen and Kings, it's not just a moniker, it's how you handle yourself. The fact is, and I've told him this before, kings and queens acknowledge other royalty. They don't acknowledge peasants. The point is, it's like, you can call yourself king and queen all you want, but if you don't carry it that way, the commoners are not going to see you as such. They're not going to see you as royalty because you don't carry yourself in that way. You can talk well, you can dress well, but if your personality does not fit the moniker, they are not going to listen to you. Yes, this guy is a charlatan. It's a given that he is full of himself, as well as it shows with his weight that he's full of himself. No pun intended. He's actually out there. But the thing is that this man does not have anything to prove. He's a big talker, but he doesn't really show anything. He doesn't really have any results. He has a building, but he doesn't really have any plans on what he's going to do with it. He doesn't even have teachers set up. He doesn't even have a school curriculum set up. He doesn't even have dues or how they're going to be able to pay for this setup. He hasn't even worked with the state to try to get grants so people underprivileged can go there. He hasn't really tried to build anything. When you see a king, and even though, yes, kings get usurped, queens get usurped. Yes, there are times that the people turn against them. That has happened in history. But let's be real, things get done when it comes to some royals. When it comes to some kings and queens in history, they get stuff done. You see results. Yes, it does go left sometimes, but you see results. What results have we seen here? Nothing. Not a thing. We can even go into the presidency or anybody that holds a position of power. You can even say the presidents over time. They have done something. And it's actually lasted over centuries or decades. We have seen the results of what some presidents have done, whether good or bad, over the years. We've seen butt kiss from this guy. And he's still getting money, and I hate to say it, from women. Look, women, I don't know whether or not you guys are just kind of infatuated with how he talks, but slick talkers can either get you broke, get you dead, or just get you very, very, very lonely or in a very bad situation if you keep it up. You got to let this guy go. He's not gonna be your fantasy if that's what y'all want. If y'all want him as a fantasy, you guys got low standards and you need to raise him up a little bit.
Yeah, because I ain't gonna lie. If I was a dad and I had a daughter and she brought this fool home, just by the way he talk, I'd be like, get this piece of trash out my house. Look, I'm all for lifting up black folks, but I can lift up black folks without putting down people that look different to me in another community. You know what I'm saying? I mean, as much as I would want, if I had a daughter or a son, as much as I would want them to be with my own and marry my own, integrity is always going to come first. Integrity and whether you care about my child will always come first before racial loyalty.
He would hate me.
Yeah.
If I ever met Dr. Umar, it's not because of the fact that I called him Warris and pretty much everything under the sun. The fact that he was just saying black queens forever, snow bunnies never, it kind of insults me because my grandmother was biracial. She was white and black. I have a lot of European DNA in my family. And my dad's mother looks white. So the fact that you're saying that snow bunnies never, you're insulting her. You're insulting pretty much everybody in my bloodline and in my lineage. So I would not want any part of you.
Not to mention, even when I lived that pro-black life, that always bothered me. Now, for me at the time, I was like, no, I want nothing but a black woman. But one thing I never did that actually ruffled a few pro-blacks online the wrong way with me. I never told another brother who to be with, who to share his bed with. Because at the end of the day, I don't know his situation. That white woman might have treated him so good that he was like, yeah, let me go this way. You know what? Good for him. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I was more worried about the condition of my community. I was more worried about that. And still to a degree am. I was more worried about that. I didn't care. And plus, even when I was like that, I'm going to take a random example. Random example from WWE in her prime. Well, actually, even now. If I call a brother and he just got finished doing the do with, let's say, Trish Stratus, or, well, I almost said Mickey James, but Mickey James is part Native American. But nevertheless, let's just say, if I call him one of them, and brother's like, yo, you ought to be tipped, I'll be like, no, no, like, no, no. And I would probably turn around and say, ain't for me, but good job. And probably walk out. Cause I'll be like, well, at least the brother got one of their good ones. But that's when I knew it wasn't really me. And that's why I got away from it. Not to mention a lot of the dogma that they preach, it sounds good until you put it against logic. When you put it against real logic and common sense, it fails. It falls apart. It's no different than, let's say, a lot of white supremacist logic. It sounds good until you put it against common sense. Then it falls apart in the face of that. Now you got some that'll wake up and accept it like, hey, this doesn't make any sense. But then you got some that will see that it doesn't make any sense. It's hitting them in the face like a Mike Tyson uppercut, and they'll still stick with it because they don't want to admit that they wrong. They don't want to admit that they wrong. They don't want to admit that the person that they've been defending and taking up for with their whole chest is wrong. But they would rather go along with it, even though they know it's wrong, than just admit you got. You got bamboozled. You got hoodwinked.
Run them up.
Yeah, they would rather do that than admit they got played.
But nobody wants to be in that position to admit that, though. I will give that. Because somebody, and I'm not going to lie, I was probably the most prideful person on the planet, and I hated to be questioned, and I hated to even admit that I'm wrong. But somebody who's a lot older than I was when I was in my 20s, there's a point where you got to eat crow. When you know that you've done wrong, you got to come to terms with it. Yeah, it's going to really sting the pride, but you got to accept that. You got to accept that. You got to know that you're wrong, admit that you're wrong, and keep it moving. Let's be real. With some women, it is very hard to do. But
women, a lot of men too.
Now, I'm just saying, in my perspective of being a woman, it's hard. But, and I know Irvin will probably be able to state that since he is a man, that it's probably hard. But in this case, if you know that you're wrong, even the best leaders, the greatest leaders in history have to admit that they're wrong. And the best leaders are not the ones that do things on their own. They're the ones that surround themselves with people that know what they're doing. And that's been proven in history. And let's go to a wrestling side of things. Everyone keep talking about how Vince McMahon was a genius. Vince McMahon was only smart because he knew who to surround himself around. He didn't create the stuff on his own. He knew exactly who to go to and learn from them. That's what makes good leaders. Surrounding themselves with people that know what they're doing and working as a unit. In this case, this guy wants to do it all on his own. Now, I have to commend Dr. Umar for even considering making a school. I can't commend him for the fact that he's bamboozling people by creating his own income from charity, which is wrong. But here's the thing. Everybody falls short. He has fallen short. He probably had the best intentions starting off, but he got caught up. He got caught up in the fame of it all, going on tours, people knowing his name. He got caught up in the madness. And when that happened, that's when he started separating himself from people and putting himself out in the forefront, making himself his own star. Let's be real. Going back to a wrestling reference, that's the reason why Vince McMahon kind of created the Attitude Era, because he wanted to be a star. Bigger star than his own dad. That's just my theory. But other than that, this man went out on his own. He did all this for black people, but got caught in the whole fame, glitz, glamour, and all that. And especially the female attention that he got from black women. He got caught up. But he's not going to ever admit that he's wrong. He's not going to admit that he screwed up. He's not going to admit that he spent all your money on whatever he spent it on. He's just going to keep spouting out his narrative because he knows that you guys are going to forgive him automatically and not question a thing. And you're going to continue giving him money when you shouldn't be giving him anything.
Yeah. Look in my eyes. What do you see? The cult of personality. And that's exactly, that song totally fits Dr. Umar because that's exactly what he is. He's the cult of personality. That's what that song that CM Punk comes out to every night in WWE and in other areas that he's been to the last 10 years or so. But that's exactly what that song's called. Which, by the way, Living Color, Cult of Personality. If you've never really heard that song in full, listen to it. It describes Dr. Umar, or so-called Dr. Umar, as I sometimes call him. It describes him to a T, because that's what he is. He's a cult of personality. Same thing, again, we're not going to get into that. The same thing with a certain president of the United States that's currently in office. It's the same thing. He's a cult of personality. To a lesser extent, you could say that about a couple of past presidents. In more recent times, like back in the 2010s, Barack Obama, to an extent, was a cult of personality in a way. And you could name leaders and people throughout history.
It's more so like in pop culture, to be honest with you. Because it's like, if anybody becomes popular or become the whole popular pop culture thing or trend in whatever era, it's just to the point where you literally worship them. Worship the ground that they walk on. They nearly become godlike, which is terrifying in itself, because these people are incredibly flawed. But think about it. It's like what Irvin mentioned, when it comes to not just people in history like presidents, you can also say it in a religious sense, especially in the black church, when people are literally either throwing money at a pastor or pretty much worshiping him like he's on a pedestal, or making him close to godlike because he's a man of God. That's somebody who can be a cult of personality. You don't really see the person's flaws. You see them just for the pedestal they stand on. And I think that's where some people get caught up. And especially with Dr. Umar especially. And yeah, he does represent that song a lot. Do I think CM Punk does? Not anymore. But he used to, but not no more. But Dr. Umar, yeah, that song represents him 100%. Especially now.
Yeah, I mean, and what you were saying earlier about him wanting to do it on his own, not have a team around him. I mean, I'll pick a real life personal example. And no, I'm not going to go any deep dive into any details or anything, but I'm just going to stick to the facts. And yeah, I'm going to give him his due. A man named Dr. Irvin Griffin Sr. Yes, in case you're wondering, yes, he is my dad. But yeah, unlike Dr. Umar, you can find where he graduated from online easily. Unlike Dr. Umar, you can find his degrees and what he's done. Unlike Dr. Umar, he may not have built a school, but he has made everywhere he's gone better. Patrick Henry Community College in Martinsville, Virginia. Excuse me, I'm gonna say West Virginia. Martinsville, Virginia, which is about two hours and change from where I'm at right now. West Virginia State College, which is now West Virginia State University. Vice president's there. He made it better than it was when he got there. He made it better by the time he left. Halifax Community College, he made that place, I'm sure, in a lot of ways better than where he left. But I'll tell you what, he didn't do it on his own. Yeah, he may have had some ideas and stuff, but he had to work with people. He had to work with a team. He had to have a team around him to build it up to where he wanted it to be. Now, did he get everything that he wanted out of the schools? I'd say for the most part he did. I'm sure he had some failures. I'm sure he did. I'm sure he had some failures though, but he's had more successes than failures. But my point is, he didn't do it alone.
Not just that. And I have met Dr. Griffin. He is a very intelligent man. And he's definitely a very educated man. It's not really so much that you can find his degrees and where it is. And how to, and what he did throughout his entire legacy of his career. The thing is, the man had a plan. He had a plan. He knew exactly what he wanted to do, and he wanted to do everything he could to better students and make them grow and actually develop future leaders. He had a plan of what he wanted out of the schools, as well as the outcome of people going to those schools. The man is very intelligent, but also he knew exactly what he wanted out of his career. And he actually produced a result to where that people that went to those schools remember him, remember his leadership, remember what he's done, remember how they were molded by him and where they are today. You want that outcome as a leader. You want to produce results. The only way that you can actually make your community better is by seeing people getting better from it. That's what his father wanted. And that's what I got from him after meeting him. Do I see that out of Dr. Umar? No, I don't at all.
It's about his glory.
It's about
him getting credit. And that's why, unless he makes a major change in his life, and it's kind of doubtful because he's the same age as me. I'm 51. He's around that age. I see him falling, and I see him falling hard.
I see him losing his mind slowly because of the backlash that he's getting from men. And let's be honest, the women that are constantly being fed this narrative and they're accepting it, they're probably trying to fill a hole in their lives. You're not going to be filled by this man. And you can tell them that all day, but they have to come to that conclusion. And when that conclusion is finally approaches them and they have that resolve, you're going to slowly see the money just disappearing. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to slowly see Dr. Umar drop out of existence. He's not going to be in anybody's mouths anymore. Because let's be honest, the only reason why that man has notoriety is because you have so many grifters on YouTube that are talking about him and are actually making comments about him and commentary and putting his videos up there. And I'm not going to say that we're not. I mean, shoot, we're talking about him now.
Yeah, we are. But
the thing is that I'm not going to really say that we're not going out of our way to talk about this guy. The fact is that his name is in our mouths. We are talking about it right now. But when it starts to die off and nobody's making videos anymore, he's going to slowly disappear to where he doesn't have enough notoriety to pay the bills anymore. And it's going to show. And then you're going to see more extreme stuff coming out of him. You're going to see more extreme talks coming out of him. Just to get more people to say something about him. So you can start getting more money in a different way. But then that's going to die out. The one thing I hope and pray is that Dr. Umar would at least try to do something. Try to do something. Or at least come to the conclusion to where his plan is not going to work and he needs to find somebody to help this happen. Because, and this is just me, I've always wanted the black community, not just the black community, but people in general to learn more about money. We have, I'm not going to say what the poverty rates are. I don't know. But I can say that if you're able to teach people how money works, then it could help them in the long run. I'm not talking about creating billionaires and trillionaires and quadrillionaires and all that. I'm just saying find a way to make money work for you to where that you're able to not worry about where it's coming from. Even when you lose your job, you still have a backup until you're able to find another one. Or when you're at retirement, you're able to get a passive form of income to where you will never have to worry about money disappearing if the government still no longer pays you Social Security. You're able to take care of yourself when certain things disappear. I would love for a school to show people that, because let's be real, not many schools, even in junior high, even in high school, even in elementary, don't show you how money works. I had pretty much the best substitute teacher on the planet, Mr. Staley. He taught me how the stock markets worked. And I was in elementary when this happened. This man taught me how to play chess, and he also taught me how stock markets worked. And I was in elementary school. Going on to junior high. Nobody will show you how stock markets work. Nobody will show you how finances and stuff work. I would love for them to teach kids like that in school, especially in America. And I wanted him to create a school like that. But let's be real, he's not.
Yeah, and then when you, let's say, struggling later on, people want to look at you, and I ain't going to say names or nothing, but people will look at you like you're dumb. Well, you could have been doing this or that. But here's the thing: the elders that are around now was not showing these kids. They were just saying, "Oh, do this because I said so." No, you have to show them why they should do this, and it has to be more than because I said so. Or I'll whoop your behind. No, it's got to be more than that. You got to show why you need to do this, and show consequences beyond getting a belt from you. Why you should do this? Because I'm sorry, if corporal punishment, and I'm not saying I'm totally against it, because some of these kids need something up the side of their behinds, but I'm not saying don't do that. I'm not saying don't spank your kids. I'm not one of those. However, you have to show them the consequences beyond that. You have to show them why you don't do this or you don't do that, or why you do need to do this or do that. Beyond, getting something, a penalty out of you.
But you also gotta be flexible too, and that's kind of where the older generation aren't. Some older generations, I'm not gonna say they're not all like that, but when it comes to like from the 1950s, you can probably argue to the 30s if they're even still here. They are not as flexible as they should be. There are some that are, but there's some that aren't. They refuse to change with the times, and I mean, there are some things you gotta learn whether you like it or not. You can probably go into the next millennium kicking and screaming. You got to learn how digital stuff works. Because let's be honest, you're gonna need to use a debit card. You're gonna need to figure out how that works. You're gonna need to use a credit card. You're gonna need to figure out how to sign things electronically. You got to learn how computers work. There are some things you're going to have to learn even though you don't want to. There are some seniors I have met in my life that refuse to figure out how a phone works. Like, they refuse to buy a cell phone. Everything is landline. They can go somewhere and nobody know where they're at. They don't even know how to even use those machines when you go to the grocery stores. Those pen pads, have no idea how to use them to where they need help. And they refuse to figure out how. You're gonna have to be a little bit more flexible. As much as confusing as it is, and I know it can be frustrating for someone in their 70s or even in their 80s to figure out some things new. That's why it is good to adjust to the times when you are younger. When you're in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. Your 60s is the prime time where you really do need to adjust. Because when you hit 70s, that's where you're at. You don't go any higher or lower from there. Everything changes. And it's really difficult to learn stuff the older you get. So it's best to try to get a routine and learn it now and to adjust with the times. Because when you get older, it's going to be hard to. And I really wish that schools now, and I pray that Dr. Umar does this, but I doubt it, that he will show kids how money works. Not kids like now in the streaming who are making millions. You can make millions all day, but have no idea how to produce wealth.
Yeah. You
can be rich, but still be broke in a few months. You have to develop wealth, which wealth is something that you can extend to your next generation. Like, you extend to your other families.
Like, if that same millions, like if I was able to get a hold of that at 51, like 31, I ain't gonna lie. 31 or definitely 21, I probably would have burnt through that by now and then been wondering why I'm broke. 51-year-old, oh, give me that same money now. First thing I'm gonna look into is some kind of savings that actually yields a decent return. That'd probably be one of the first things I'd look up, if not the first thing. Second thing, I would take out just enough to get what I need done right now, and the rest of it I would just sock away somewhere, like put it in
an emergency fund.
Yes.
Like, because the emergency funds, and this is from what I've learned when I was getting my degree, a lot of billionaires, the reason why that they're not broke is because they have emergency funds that don't go against their bottom line. The emergency funds has enough interest in it to where when they don't touch it, it consistently grows when they have money in there, and it keeps growing. But the interest builds more money in there. So if they do need it and they need to take it out, they're able to do it because they don't touch it. They only take it out when they need to. They have multiple forms of accounts that are spread out. They don't have everything in one box. They spread it out in different areas, whether it's stocks, whether it's bonds, whether it's offshore accounts, whether it's emergency funds. They have everything spread out. That's how they're able to maintain their wealth. And I just wish I learned that in school. I'm learning that now.
I do too.
I'm
only really learning that the last few years. Yeah, and thank God I was at least smart enough earlier on at the job I work at. I was smart enough to take advantage of the 401k, and who knows how long those are going to be around, but I was at least smart enough to do that to where now if something does happen to it, I at least have right to that money and I can move it into something else.
Yeah.
I won't lose it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I've always wanted for the people of America, to actually learn about money. And it's funny that, I mean, I come from the ATL, which I consider the hustler's capital of the world. And you gotta tip your hat off to the people down there. They know how to hustle. They have maybe several side hustles as well as a job. And even though they have their side hustles and they have their main job, they put their money where they need to be put. Whether it is in another account, whether it is something to build interest, whether they use credit cards to get a lot of cash back on it, they figure out how money works to where that they make sure they're able to pay their bills. They make sure they're able to take care of themselves. The only problem is they can't shut the hustle off. They're hustling when they're my age. And I'm going to be real. When you hit 50, those hustles needs to stop. You need to reduce it to about 1 so you can calm yourself down and be able to enjoy life. You don't need to be hustling when you're 60. I mean, look at Ric Flair. I love you, Rick, but you still hustling. You about, almost 80. You need to stop hustling. But the thing is, I do respect people down in Atlanta because they keep hustling. They keep going. If they don't got money, they find a way to get it sometimes in the wrong way, like scamming. But then there are some that got their side hustles, like they got their own baking companies. They got their own timeshare, stuff like that, taxis, stuff like that. They create their own service. They do whatever they can to keep the lights on. I respect them for that. I do. I gotta respect them for that. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Georgia, but I do respect the people that live there. But for this man here, y'all, stop giving him money. Stop giving him money. Wait till you see some results. And I don't mean results in a month. I mean in a year. Go a full year. If this man has not done anything except the outside of a school, all you see is the outside of a school, the empty shell of the inside. Nothing developed. Nothing even upgraded. If you don't see any changes within a year, cut this guy loose.
Yeah.
That's a graphic.
Yeah. But yeah, and going back to the whole Black Queens Forever, Snow Bunnies Never, which we got off, because I mean, I can't say anything. Yes, I am currently dating a black woman,
but I do have white in my family, including my grandmother. That's an insult. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I myself have been around white women and such. A couple of them I almost got into a full-blown relationship with. And there's been at least a couple that I could have, but I was single-minded, want a black woman at the time. Now, it led to the result of me being with Regina, but at the same time, they were actually pretty good people. The couple of them that I'm thinking of were actually pretty good people, you know. And I can't speculate because I don't know how it would have went. But looking back on it, the only thing I will say is if I had the mentality that I got now, back then, and that person, I probably would have gave him a chance. I probably would have at least given them a chance. But just like anything, they could have failed or faltered there. So I don't know if that would have been love of my life. I don't know. But the only thing I would have told younger me is that, you know what, dude, just give him a chance, man. Give him a chance. You don't know. And I would tell any dude, if she's really loves you and down for you, regardless if she's not black. I don't care if she's white. I don't care if she's Asian. I don't care if she one of them Middle Eastern Hindu women. I don't care if she's Hispanic. If she's really down for you, give them a chance, is all I'm gonna say. I'm not really trying to push interracial, but I'd say give them a chance. If they've showed that they are really down for you, give them a chance. Don't be so hung up on being with your own. And plus, even if you got with a black woman, let's be honest, unless they come from Africa or Jamaica, chances are they're probably going to be mixed with something else.
But you also got to think of it this way. Don't look at just skin color or where they're from. Look at the culture. For somebody that has dated a white guy, it is something different. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but their personalities might not fit the mold that they live in, but sometimes it's the personalities fit the culture that they're in. And think about where if they come from another country, that culture is tied to them. If they're from the Middle East, that culture is tied to them. The same thing if they're Hispanic, if they're from, if they're Latino, or if they're actually from Spain, if they're Portugal, if they're Brazilian, everything that they're from in that culture or where they're at is going to probably either mesh with you or not. You shouldn't really worship somebody who looks exotic. You got to see every crux of them, not just how they look, but also their culture and whether it meshes with you, because that is a huge representation of who they are, especially when it comes to their family. We all know that when it comes to Hispanic cultures, even Italian cultures, they are really tied close to their families. You have to mesh with that culture in order to make it work. And I'm not saying assimilate totally. You need to be yourself and know who you are as a person. Because if you are with somebody and you literally hold back who you really are, you're going to resent her or him. They got to accept each other. They have to accept you. You have to accept them. It's not a one-way street. It's a street where y'all gotta meet on. And I'm not gonna lie. Do I think that a lot of black men worship white women because they're white? Yes, I do.
Unfortunately, yes.
Do I think that black women worship white men because they're white? Yes. They are people underneath, y'all. They are people with different cultures.
Different cultures, and they can be as flawed as anyone else.
Exactly.
They can be as flawed as anyone else. Yeah, that's the only time I really look sideways, is when dude used their interracial relationship to put down the black culture. That's when I take issue. If they're just living their lives with their white woman, or whatever race of woman he's with other than black, I didn't bother him. Even when I was pro-black thinking, I didn't bother him. I'm like, no, let him be happy. That's him. You know what I'm saying? Because I was more worried about other stuff. I didn't care who you slept. And really, it was hypocritical on my part. That's why I quit that lifestyle, because it was hypocritical on my part, because I had been with white women, socially, and yes, I will admit, sexually and stuff. But those were just hookups and stuff. Although like I said, there was a couple of them I considered, because they proved to be solid people. But one, I won't say her name, but one kind of disappeared. I found out much later that there was some other stuff going on in her life that had nothing to do with me, but it was with other things. And unfortunately, I'll be safe because it is YouTube. She unalived herself, leaving behind two boys. One teenager and one one that was preteen. So, may God rest her soul and everything. But yeah. I mean, she was one that I did consider, because me and her got along good. It was more than just us hooking up for sex. We would talk about stuff with each other's lives, but I did not know that deep at the time that there was stuff going on. But she did used to say to me, she said, you got a nice quiet place here. I really don't want to disrupt it. And I used to kind of gently try to find out what she meant, but she never would tell me. And I'm not really one of them ones that try to really push, unless it's something dire.
Yeah,
unless it's something dire. And believe me, if I'd have known she had those thoughts, I might have pushed harder. For her to talk to me, because there's always somebody that can care about it. I don't want to turn this into a unalive PSA or nothing, but there's always help if you have those thoughts. I mean, reach out to 411, one of those unalive. I think it's 681, one of those hotlines, something.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are hotlines pretty much in every state when it comes to that, and I do know about her because he's mentioned her to me before, even before we started dating. The thing is, when it does come to that, just remember that even when you tried your best, do not blame yourself if the outcome is not what you want. You tried. You did everything you could possibly do, especially if your goal was to help that person. But at the end of the day, if it goes left and it doesn't go the way you want, do not blame yourself at all. You've done what you could do.
Yeah, I mean, and it definitely hurts more when it's somebody you not only hung out with, had dinner with, and in this case was actually physically intimate with, and you spent time with this person, not just, let's just say, I'll just say it, just having sex. You actually talked to this person. You was having conversations both in and out of the bedroom with them and all. You spent time with them. I mean, it hurts doubly bad because it was more than just somebody you knew casually. So it hurts doubly bad to hear, regardless. And like I said, who I'm talking about is a white woman.
And if anybody thinks, and yeah, I am sitting next to him and he is talking about somebody that he was intimate with. For somebody that has known him from over a decade and a half, I know to this day that it still hurts him because he really did care about this person. And this is before we started dating. And we were friends at the time when he told me. And if I was jealous of that, then that shows how petty I am. And that shows how insecure I am in our relationship. This man has shown nothing but kindness, nothing but generosity and loyalty to me. So why in the world would I be upset over something that happened in his past? I'm not going to insult her, defame her for the decision she made, even though I rather demonize the act than the person. But the fact is that he cared about her a lot. And I have enough respect for him to not defame her for the decision she made. Even though like I said, I demonize the decision and not the person.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, thank you for that.
No problem.
But then I hear stuff that comes out of Umar's mouth, which I still think he's a bit of a hypocrite. And she hadn't heard my second video yet, which I'll probably play for her after I get off.
I'm kind of afraid to hear the second video.
No, it's nothing bad. But I wouldn't be surprised if deep down he probably wants to get down with a white woman. That's probably why he yells "Black Queens Forever, Snow Bunnies."
And if he
never
does do it, nobody
really cares. Exactly. Most of the time, interracial is not viewed in the United States like it was 40, 50, 60 years ago.
No, it is not anymore.
No, most do not care.
It is not anymore.
In certain areas of the country, maybe, but as general speak, generally speaking, nobody cares.
Shoot, we can even argue here in West Virginia, in Southern West Virginia, it's probably the most diverse I've ever seen in any area I've been to.
Yeah,
That's
especially among the younger crowd. The younger crowd does
older
not
folks,
care. The younger crowd don't care, but the older folks, most of it is ones that did think that at one time, but as they got older, they just finally just said F it.
Yeah. Like, I've seen more people my age, maybe a little bit younger, that are in interracial relationships. Shoot, they've gotten married. They have children. I've seen more biracial kids down here than kids my shade. And to be honest with you, the daddies are still there. The daddies hasn't run off and left. They're still there.
Yeah, with the majority of those type of couples, the dads are still in the home.
Yeah, because, I mean, let's be honest. When it comes to interracial relationships, majority of the dads bold. And that's for, like, many states I have been to. I've seen more biracial kids that have been abandoned than kids my shade, or even white kids. There have been more biracial kids that have gotten abandoned, especially by the father. But in the places I've been to, especially here, mostly here and maybe in Florida, I've actually seen more families, more interracial families together still. And together for many years until the kids grow up. Which is great to see. And it's not just, it should be just interracial. It should be with all families. And that's, let's be honest, that's kind of a plague in the black community. And it's rare to see the mama dip out. But that happens too. When the mama just gets fed up and just leaves their kids behind. And unfortunately, that happens where we're at currently. And also the daddies, which is almost commonplace to the point where it's practically a joke, when they just up and leave their kids behind. And their kids don't even know what their dad looked like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, families are fractured. Whether it's interracial or not, families are fractured.
Yes.
But it also takes the responsibility of both adults to know if they want to do this or not. And women should not use their kitty cat as a Scooby snack to keep their man there. If you know that he does not want to have a family with you or create a life or a home, you need to let him go if that's what your plans are. And you need to be confident enough to realize that and to actually start using birth control. And do not say, oh, we can't afford it. No, do not give me that clownish buffoonery.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to clinics now and give me that stuff for free.
And plus, it's way more affordable. I mean, 30, 40 years ago, yeah, it was high. But now you go on Amazon and get what you need. Or you can go to Walmart.
Amazon. Even if you don't have the money for Amazon or Walmart, you can go to a clinic in your state or in your county and they can give you birth control and what you need for free. Well, it's not really free. It's like money, but still. And
I know the Christian right or the diehard Christians are going to say, no, need to practice abstinence till marriage. Newsflash, we're still human beings. And I'm sorry. I'm a loyal man, not a dead man. You don't think there's a time like once a week or once every other week or so or whatever that a woman don't walk by that I see that I do, give a quick look at and then I just go back to my business? I mean, please. Human nature is human nature. You might not act on it. You might not act on your instinct, impulse, or anything, but don't try to deny it's there. And I think that hurts a lot of people more because they're more worried about trying to shove their dogma in people's faces because deep down they're either ashamed or they fear what they fear because they fear how God will feel and stuff. When you got people in the very Bible that has fallen to sin, including people of God's own heart. One in particular, David himself. Read the story on Bathsheba sometime.
Yeah, but the thing is, you also got to remember the times too. When it comes to, and I'm just going by modern era, When it comes to the 1920s, 1930s, 1950s, let's be honest, when it comes to birth control, it was incredibly primitive. Not only that, very expensive. Yes, in some cultures, especially religious cultures, like, well, you can probably argue more Catholicism than anything else, that they actually do not use birth control at all. That's something they don't believe in. But the thing is, you still gotta be responsible. Even if that means that, yep, you can't be touching nobody if you don't plan on having kids. And yeah, there are other things that are also a no-no. And I'm not getting too much into that. But the thing is, you have to have responsibility towards your body. You got to stop popping out kids.
Mm-hmm.
You got to stop getting pregnant by random guys. And good grief, we can go into the whole food stamps thing, and we're in November now, so we're kind of, you can be a little nervous about that, but...
Yeah, and I ain't gonna lie, I do that anyway, way before this situation. But yeah, I'm looking harder now, because you never know. I mean, I doubt I'll see that around here, but you never know. You should definitely watch yourself every time you go in. Go into the grocery store. Watch yourself while you're in the grocery store, and definitely watch yourself while you're going to the car loading your groceries. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know, especially like early in the morning or late at night.
Yeah, you never really know now, but the thing is, ladies, please show responsibility. Please show sexual responsibility. Yeah, I mean, you can't tell me that I can't get birth control. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. If you have an allergy for them or allergy towards them, you can find out another type of contraceptives that you can use. You can't tell me that there's not any for you. I will not believe you. I will not even listen to that. You got to show responsibility. You can't allow the responsibility to fall only on the man. It's your body too. And these kids got to deal with all this. They got to deal with your mess and your mistakes. Don't be having 5 kids you can't afford to feed.
Mm-hmm.
Just stop. Stop altogether. Even if that means making the ultimate decision and putting them up for adoption and put them in a home that can take care of them. You got to make that decision for them.
Yeah, and a lot of women I've even heard this, said this to my face. I was like, just put them up for adoption. Like, I ain't putting them again. I just get an abortion. And I'm probably gonna have to bleep this out, but I'm gonna say it right now. I'll be like, you selfish bitch. You gonna kill off a kid all because you don't want to use birth control, and you don't want to put them up a child adoption. That child did not ask to be here. That child, you gonna kill it off. Now, I'm not the biggest one to talk about there should be no abortion, pro-life. No, certain situations I get it. Like if you were, let's say, essayed, or if you, let's say, there's some kind of medical emergency reason.
Like ectopic pregnancies.
Yeah, something like that. I get it. That's why I don't totally agree with this anti-abortion thing. I don't totally agree with it because, like, look, you're making it illegal across the board. And I'm like, that's not right. Because you don't know everybody's situation.
I understand the whole thought behind it, I'm choosing the coward's way and being neutral in this because every situation is always different. And you will have your perspective and stand on it, but you got to see things through a different lens. So yeah, I might be a little bit neutral on this, but I'm going to be honest. It's really difficult to judge unless you go through it. Because I know that for people who do have to have an abortion, it's the hardest decision you ever make. There is a mental and psychological outcome afterwards. It's not anything you can shake off. But I'm going to be honest, if you use that as a form of birth control, then I don't know what to say about you. I really don't. It's difficult that you are unfeeling when it comes to what really happens in the outcome of all that. Because if you have no response, then that's a shame, really. Mm-hmm. And that shows where your head is at. Just like with, what is it? Not planned pregnancy. I think it's like one step, something like that. It's like the It's like that drug that you take, morning after pills. That's what I mean. Like the morning after pills. If you're using, and this is the one thing that bugged me when I was working at my old job, there were young girls that was going in there to get the morning after pill after they had sex for like the 5th time. They use morning after pills as a form of contraception. That's what you should not do, because morning after pills alter your sexual chemistry. It will alter your body. It's not like using a birth control pill. It's not like taking orthotricycline or some type of birth control pill that is given by a doctor. The morning after pill does change your body chemistry to prevent you from actually conceiving a child. It can alter things. You do not go in the store and pop it in every single time you have a romp. Use a condom. Even use gel contraceptives. There's a lot of things you can use that will not alter your chemistry. Just like with Depo Primavera. If you have the Depo injection, it can make you sterile. Just ask, what was that porn star that actually was taking Depo? She was a well-known one. I forgot her name. You might know who it is. But she did a documentary that when she was married, she was actually trying to get pregnant, but she's been on Depo for 6 years. And Depo is actually an injection that lasts for a full year. It will alter you to where it will make you sterile if you use it for too long. Or not so much sterile, but more so infertile. I guess it's a better way of saying it. You will no longer have periods. You will no longer be able to be fertile if you keep taking that injection. She's been on Depo for 6 years. Your body is altered. And especially if you're about to hit 40, it's going to be very difficult for you to even conceive a child at that age for being on a drug that long. It is dangerous for any woman to do that. You need to be more responsible. You need to understand, I'm gonna be sexually active. What am I gonna do to protect myself? If the man don't have condoms, then you be on birth control. You make sure you don't miss a pill. Don't go in raw, because whatever he has on his penis is gonna be in you. Yes, I am being descriptive, but I don't know if YouTube's gonna block that word, but I am kind of being educational about it. But other than that, you got to protect yourselves. That's the one thing you got to do. Do not depend on somebody to protect you. You protect yourself because it's your body. And I pray that women for the next generation understands that, because this whole culture's gotta die. Seriously, this whole freak culture's gotta die. The fact you're gonna have, I've been with 10 guys. I've been with 12 men. I'm on my 20th. Let's celebrate and make a cake. These trends got to end. They really do.
Yeah, and you mentioned the porn star thing earlier. Here's the difference.
Jenna Jameson popped in my head. Jenna Jameson.
Okay. Yeah, I remember her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Those people in the adult film industry, they get paid to do that. And it's under a controlled environment.
Right.
I'd say the majority of those people do not do that when they're offset. When they're offset, they take a shower, put their clothes back on, they go home. They are not doing that offset. Most of them are. There's a few that are. There's a few that are really in the open marriage, swinger swap type of lifestyle. When they're not doing adult movies, they really live it. Others, it's just a job. It's just a job. They go in, they make sure they in shape and stuff. They make sure they clean, both hygienically in terms of VD and all that. They get butt naked or wear the sexy lingerie or whatever they wear. Then they do what they do on screen or whatever they're getting paid for, and then they take a shower and then they go home. Most of them are not doing that stuff that everybody's out here, celebrating. Or like even to music. Like stuff like what, Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion, or even back in my day, Lil' Kim and Adina Howard, or even going back even further, Millie Jackson. Most of them are not doing that. Some of them are, like Adina and Millie. Yeah, they really live that life. But most of them, it's just an image. They're not doing that in their private lives. They're not getting freaked by 5 or 6 guys at once. Most of them.
But think about it. when it comes to porn stars, they do that because it's a job. But they treat their body like a temple. They make sure that there's no diseases. They make sure they're disease free, and they make sure that they don't take their business home. That's their job. There are some that do live that lifestyle because they choose to, which is no problem with that. I'm not gonna judge them on that. But for those that are doing it for clout, I hate to break it to you, but it's gonna ruin you down the line. Like, no guy is going to be with a woman that had 20 penises in her. Like, let's be honest. And yeah, people keep saying, oh, what's your body count? And yeah, many women don't really want to say what their body count is. But despite all that, if you're with guys back to back to back, just like, who was that British chick that got banned?
Oh, yeah, I can't remember the name. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Bonnie Blue, who had like about 1,000 in her, and she's boasting about that. And she was literally talking about how raw she was, and the fact that her parents are supporting her. Shoot, her dad is advertising for her, which is just weird. But that's just me personally, because shoot, any dad would be mortified to see their daughter bent over and have like 3 or 4 guys behind her. Like that would not sit well with any father on the planet.
I don't have kids, and that wouldn't sit right with me. Yeah, that's one thing. When I do look at an adult film, I try not to go. Don't go too far with it, because I gotta remember. Even though I'm being entertained by what they're doing, I gotta remember, this is somebody's sister, or this is somebody's mom, because some of them do have kids. This is somebody's daughter, possibly doing this. And I got to think to myself, would I want my daughter doing this? I'd be like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Which, that may make me a bit of a hypocrite, but yeah, it's easier to not think about it when it's somebody that ain't close to you and you don't know. But if it's somebody you know, or somebody that is kin to you that you do care about, yeah, it hits a whole lot different. I mean, I've had cats admit, they used to enjoy watching volleyball. Besides the sport itself, they used to love seeing like the women in those, because they wear those tight shorts and everything. And then he's like, you know what though? It hit different when my daughter started playing volleyball. It hit different, and I started looking at it different. And yeah, it don't hit you until it's your niece, or until it's your daughter, or let's say a close friend's daughter.
But when you think about it, that's not like for Bonnie Blue. That wasn't her biological dad. That was her stepdad. Which makes it even creepier. In a way, it kind of makes it even creepier. That's your stepdad and your I'm like, it makes me wonder what your stepdad really thinking behind closed doors. But despite all that, the thing is, like, I understand it's business. She's making a crap ton of money from it, but even she goes too far. And I'm not trying to be too spiritual or religious on it, but it is the truth to it. Like, when it comes to bonding with one person, when it comes to bonding with that person that you love and you connect with, not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally, it is a covenant. You feel them, and they feel you. Whatever that you get from them, they get from you. It is a bond. And if you're constantly with several guys and it doesn't bother you, then you're detached. And I think you detached yourself for a reason. Whether that reason is, I'm not saying she's damaged. I'm not saying she is. There is a difference between being damaged and detached. That you purposely detach yourself to prevent yourself from getting hurt, to prevent yourself from doing business. I don't know. That's my own personal theory. But if you're able to connect with a person like that, and you're comfortable being with 1,000 guys in one day, there has to be some detachment there.
And this is why, man, like, turning it back to Dr. Umar right quick. I don't want this video to go too much longer, but this is why a man like him disgusts me. Because I've always, even when I was young, I always viewed sex as a beautiful, intimate act of not only pleasure, not only getting your rocks off, which I think both sexes like to do, but I've also viewed it as I also viewed it as an act of intimately knowing. Even if all y'all doing it for is pleasure, y'all not really in a committed relationship. I'm sorry, when you do it, I mean, the only way you just doing it and you don't feel nothing is just you're totally detached. I'd say, except for maybe a couple women, and I ain't Will Chamberlain, okay? I ain't been with 10,000 women, and quite frankly, I don't want to be.
10,000 women, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to be. But I think all of them on some level, even most of them that I never really seriously dated, even if we were just hooking up just to get some, I think all of them on some level I had, some kind of intimacy and some care for. Nearly all of them. Like I said, there's a couple of them at one point I did date, and then there's ones I could have seriously date if I'd have went for it. I mean, I'm the guy, and Regina used to make fun of me about this even before me and her started dating. She was like, Irvin, you need a wife or at least a girlfriend, because not many men who hook up for women after y'all finish be offering the woman to take a shower or even put your clothes back on to go walk them to their car, or at least watch them go to their car when they leave.
Yeah, I did say that, because for somebody who's had one night stands, either myself or with the other guy, I honestly did not have that happen, but it was to be expected. I wasn't trying to be anybody's girl. It was just a one-time thing. I dip out. Shoot, I've had guys call me because I dip out before they wake up. And they call, and they actually send me a text on my phone. Where'd you go? I was like, I went home. Like, seriously, my expectations were like low to like practically nothing. You were there for one thing, and the thing was done, and I go home. And that was just during the time where I literally chose to disconnect myself because I did not like feeling terrible after a breakup. And I just wanted to just completely be cold and be numb to it. So I practically treated men like meat. I'm gonna be honest, I was not the best person, especially after my first breakup. In my 20s, I was not great. It took about 15 years for me to figure out the type of person I am and how to treat people properly.
Yeah. And me, that's just the way I've always been. Even when all I wanted was some sex and that's it. The way I looked at it, she did not have to spend time with me. Any type of time with me, but she chose to. And usually it was the women that me and that woman usually had a cool rapport, because I always like to talk to them a little bit before we go there. She didn't have to spend time with me. She didn't have to get buck booty naked with me. She didn't.
No,
and she didn't have to give me none, but she chose to.
Buck booty naked.
Yeah, watch The Champs. I stole that line from him from one of his videos. She didn't, but she chose to. So, and plus, I was always a bit of a gentleman. I was always a gentleman, even in that setting. I always, was spending, and that shocked some women, because most of them was like, "Oh, I got what I want to be." With me, they was like, "No, you don't have to." I was like, "No, hang on, I'll just get the clothes on and stuff." And then, some was like, "Not to bother you, but can I wash?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I would, give them a washcloth, or if they want to take a full shower, like, "Hey, here's the soap right here. Here's your towel." And some of them was like, "I've never had a guy do that before." I was like, "Why wouldn't you? You didn't have to spend time with me, but you did. You gave me some. At the very least I could do is offer you a shower if you need to wash yourself." Or if I brought them over, one of them told me a story about, they brought them over there, and then they were like, "Well, I got what I want, be. I'm going to bed," and pretty much made her basically walk home. I was like, "Nah, if I brought you over to my house, I'm gonna take you home, or at least drop you off where you can get home." home. I'm like, or take you all the way to where you live and stuff. Nah, that ain't right. That's why a guy like Dr. Umar really rubs me the wrong way. The way he talks about women. I'm not saying I've never talked dirty on women with fellas and stuff. Yeah, but I didn't claim to be no big time educator either. I'm just a regular dude. But even to the level that he talks, I mean, I'm like, oh my God, dude. And then hearing about the way he treats some of them, or calls them out of their name and tries to be slick, like calling them Mama Smurf and all this stuff. I was like, dude. And the sad part is, it's guys like that usually gets the tail. Well, gets the tail from women who really don't know what to look for.
But which is worse? Being called a Mama Smurf or being called a sand bunny?
Yeah.
Sand bunny, snow bunny, rice bunny.
Yeah, which is racist as crap. And let's be honest, if Dr. Umar was a white man, he would have been reamed on that and rightfully so, a long time ago. But because he's black, not many people, especially our people, call him on it. Me, I found that disgusting. I was like, look, there's some Asian women that, if the circumstances would have been right, I wouldn't have minded going out with them for dinner with, talking to them with, and possibly getting down with. There's been some Middle Eastern women, if they was down, I'd have been like, oh, okay. If nothing else, we go out to have coffee or go out to have something to eat. Maybe I learn a little bit about my culture. Maybe I could teach her something about, not all black people are doing this and that, what you see on the TV or what you see on BET. You know what I'm saying? I look at that as an opportunity like that. And if it goes further than that, be like, hey, let's go. Hey, let's go. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, just talk to them, like calling them sand bunnies or rice bunnies. I was like, you racist as hell, man. What's wrong with you? I mean, why does anyone, they must have low standards, because no woman worth a damn should be giving you any tail or any time of day.
No, they really shouldn't. They honestly should have enough pride for themselves to leave them alone. But with black women, they're like, well, it has nothing to do with me. I hate to break it to you, but it kind of does. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me being black, and even though I do have European and mostly from the UK and even Germany in my lineage, and I'm acknowledging that because I ended up finding that out and I find that amazing. But the thing is that that's a bigger insult. And if that person's willing to insult other cultures, what makes you think they're not going to insult you?
Exactly. Eventually, he's going to insult you. Yeah. Eventually, he's going to insult you. He's going to turn on you. I mean, it's like women that watch the dude that they're interested in, let's say, beat down another woman, and they think it's so funny. No, that should be a warning. That should be a big signal to you. A huge signal. If they will turn on you, if they will do that to a woman that had their kids, yeah, I'm talking about you, Diddy. They'll do that to the woman that had their kids, what makes you think, yeah, I'm talking about Cassie, what makes you think he ain't gonna turn on you? They're gonna eventually turn on you. Eventually.
That's the one thing that people need to understand. Eventually they are going to turn on you. Women need to be holding themselves accountable for whatever actions that they do and whatever person that they're with. And especially for those that choose to give money to this clown that hasn't produced anything in decades? That's on you. You gotta cut that loss, put up that L, and be like, you know what? I screwed up. I'm not gonna pay you no more. I'm not getting none out of this. And not only that, black women be insulted for saying that, oh no, you're not gonna have your hair like this. You're not gonna wear weaves. We gonna have natural hair. For somebody who has had both, I've had weave once in prom, I have had perms most of my life until my dermatologist was like, if you want to keep your hair, you need to stop doing this. Hence why I've been natural for a decade and a half. You shouldn't be insulted because of how you do your hair. If you choose to wear a weave, if you choose to wear a wig, if you choose to do anything other than what your hair naturally is, that's up to you. And I get why you do it. It's the easiest way to get it done, get out, get to work on time. I get it. But you shouldn't be demonified for wearing a weave or a wig. I choose not to. I like being natural. I really can't go back to perms, but even if I could, I wouldn't do it because I like how my hair is now. But that does not mean that you are less black for having a wig or a weave, especially if you're black. And it's somebody who's from Atlanta or from the metro Atlanta area. Everybody down there got a weave or a wig or nowhere to go to get their hair done. There's nothing wrong with that. And if Dr. Umar really loved black people, he would love the person who's actually looks like a black person, who is a black person, and what their hair is. And they should not be discriminated against, especially in a school that you are making for black people if they choose to wear a weave. That's just wrong and hypocritical on his end. Yeah.
And really, at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter. And we go on and on. Like the thing he says, oh, his qualifications for a teacher. Oh, I want this for my office. Oh, yes, my private office. I thought to myself, listen to this guy.
Oh, I'm concerned about him having a private office. I'll be concerned there's like auto locks.
Yes.
Go in there and be like,
yeah,
click, on some. Where can I leave?
Yeah, be on some alleged Matt Lauer crap. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I can talk about that because I work in that business. So yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, well, I'm not gonna go into that, but look up the name Matt Lauer sometime. That's the first thing I thought of when you talked about them locks.
Oh gosh, if you black with a big booty and go in there and be like, here, click.
Yeah.
Hopefully you got something in your purse or in your shoe or something.
Yeah. So
to protect yourself.
So yeah, he's a lawsuit waiting to happen. But anyway, that's all we got to say on this dude. I think we spent enough time, but I hope you get some other useful lessons out of this. Yeah, I wanted Regina alone because she brings some of the intent. Not that I'm stupid or anything, but she brings some intelligence to the situation.
Not to mention the female perspective.
Yes. Yeah. So I did promise it. Well, here it is. I'm out.